in the mortgage market? Join us for another episode of FDM Brews to learn more about trends and updates in the mortgage industry that can help you get your clients pre-approved for the home of their dreams.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Cindy.
We're loaded with caffeine. We've got coffee. We've got our Gatorade, our health crew down in the bottom. So it's time for another day of learning here. You're just really jumping in with a lot of great advice for our realtors.
Thanks, Cindy. We got coffee. It's warm. It's a great time to talk about building our business.
Absolutely. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we released a podcast, and you were really talking about success planning, right? So we do our business planning, and then we have to really come back with success planning to implement, the ideas we came up in our business plan. And you had a challenge, so we were going to take that challenge together, the Power of Three challenge.
Absolutely.
I just want to how are you guys doing with that?
Well, Cindy, it's funny that you bring that up, right? So we talked about a business plan, and every realtor, every sales professional needs a business plan, right? And that's my comprehensive plan. Where's my market? How I'm going to do that. As a reminder, success planning is creating direct daily actions, right? So that's taking your business plan and turning it into success, right? We spend a lot of time creating these great business plans, and then they don't go anywhere because we don't take the next step. The next step in success planning is ensuring I'm doing direct daily action that is going to impact my business and implement my business plan. And we put this 30-day challenge out because we know that if I do something every day for 30 days, it becomes a habit. And what we want to do is just reinforce that. And today's discussion is going to be about how do we take the next step in that, right? What is a direct daily action that I can do that's going to ensure success in my business? And we're going to reinforce that 30-day challenge. So we have to be reminded to do that, right? My wife's a fitness instructor, so she reminds me every day by poking me in the stomach, you need to get to the gym today, right? So that's her direct daily action. She pokes me, right? So then I feel guilty and I have to go to the gym. So it's become a habit. So we're going to be the wife poking you in the stomach right now saying, okay, let's get into our business gym and let's learn how to get referrals.
On behalf of women, I don't poke people. So
so it's just my wife. And she's like, wait a minute, you got that COVID-15. You need to get rid of it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And, it's season in Florida right now. So I want to acknowledge that realtors are busy. We know they're busy, but this is a prime opportunity to really, keep your skills sharp. And it's always learning is a process, right, Brett?
Yeah, Cindy, you bring up a really good point, right? Every sales professional should read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, right? And one of the things he talks about in the 7th habit is sharpening the saw. One of the things we do in a boom market, and this has been a boom market for the last 2 years, is we start working so much in our business, we forget to work on our business. And when the market turns, all of a sudden we're like, oh, wait a minute, what am I going to do? So it seems counterintuitive, but the busier you are is actually the most important time to work on sharpening those skills that prepare me for when the market turns. So what we're going to talk about today is one of those sales basic skills that everybody needs to be sharp on, because when the market turns, you don't want to sit there going, hey, what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to build those things when the market's at our top, right? So we're not struggling to do that when the market turns. So get ahead of it. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's fantastic. I've got your presentation right here.
We do.
Poof, like magic.
There you go. Poof. Things happen, right? So today, as a follow-up to our 30-day challenge, we're going to talk about how to get referrals. A lot of times when I do this in person, sometimes I go, how to never buy a lead again, right? So we're going to create opportunities from your own customer base and how do you leverage those for more business. And we're going to talk about getting referrals and how we do that on a consistent basis. So what we want to talk about is how do we get these referrals? Okay. The first thing we want to talk about, Natish, maybe you can bring that up, is, everybody wants referrals, but why don't they get referrals?
Thanks, Brett. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out what are you doing to get these referrals? And we hear a lot from folks, in the mortgage industry, in the real estate industry, sales in general. Why are folks failing? When you're doing all the right things, when you're, making happy deals and, clients are good, everybody involved in the process is happy. Why are you still failing? Okay. Everyone wants to get referrals, and you say, I market, I ask for referrals. I did a good job. My clients like me, but I'm still not getting referrals. And you don't get them. You have to earn them. That's what you need to understand to take that next step. And, like Brett said, never pay for a lead again.
What's interesting about this, Cindy, if you think about it, right? And if agents look at it or any sales professional, man, my people love me. I did a great job. I sent them a calendar, but I still don't get any referrals. And you're going to know why, right? My people loved me, but I didn't get a referral. So how do we now create a process where we're able to leverage that success and create more opportunities for us? So as Nitish said, you don't get referrals, you earn referrals. And what's really important today, Cindy, as the market turns, right, we have to understand something. The journey matters, right?
Mhm.
How are my clients taking that journey? And have I done enough during that journey to earn their referrals? You don't get them, you earn them, and the journey matters. Oops. Okay. Tish, we talked about that, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but what happens?
Exactly. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So why didn't I get the referrals? Like Brett said, you're sending out marketing material, newsletters, holiday cards. You're still not getting the referrals. So what happens is those items that you're sending out, and everybody does this, most companies provide you a platform where you can have recurring sales material go out, and you're staying in front of your client base, your realtor partners, your mortgage partners, your title company partners. That's all branding. You're staying in front of them. You're branding your name. But what are you doing to get that referral? That's what you need to be asking yourself.
What's really important here, Cindy, and Nitish, Brenda, so everybody does branding materials, and that's important, right? Branding's important. You want to stay in front of your clients, but if I'm only doing the branding part of it, right? I send my calendar out, it's great. But if my past client happens to look at the calendar when they're interested in buying a house, they remember me. If they don't, they're not going to think about that. So branding strategies are important, but that's not a direct daily action that's going to change your business. We encourage you keep that up. You have to do that, right? Branding is important. That's why every company does that. But how do you take your business to the next level? How do you actually get referrals or earn those referrals is very different than a branding strategy. Nitish?
And Brett said it right. What's your daily business plan? We talked about success planning a couple of weeks ago. So with the branding that you're doing, how are you combining the branding with your success plan to get those referrals? People need to ask for referrals. That's number one. You don't just send out marketing material and then expect to get those referrals. Once you ask, well, you need to also be asking at the right time, right? When folks are happy, when the people involved in a transaction are happy. Now, in a purchase transaction, you have the seller, you have the buyer, you have the seller's agent, you have the buyer's agent, you have the mortgage professional, you have the title company, the appraiser. You have a lot of folks involved. And there are different times within that transaction that there's a spike in happiness, right? One, you get that original pre-approval before you even put a contract in, and you let the client know and your agent know, and you get it from the mortgage company, and you ask for referrals at that time. You're a buyer's agent representing the buyer, and you just found out the buyer is pre-approved. Well, let the buyer know that, hey, congratulations, you got pre-approved. Let's see if any of your friends or family members are also interested in purchasing. And that's the perfect time to ask. Once you're under contract, as soon as you go under contract, everybody's happy. You get a ratified contract, time to ask for referrals. When the appraisal comes in, everybody's happy. You ask for referrals. Now, if the appraisal comes in low, everybody's not happy. So don't ask then, right? You got to pick your times, know what the process is, know exactly when to ask.
It's really important here, Cindy, we think about this, right? Why don't we get referrals? And I can tell you, most people don't get the amount of referrals they're looking for. We talked about earning the referral. So a couple things we need to understand. Why do people give referrals? They don't give referrals because they like you. They give referrals when it makes them look good, right? Human nature is this. I'm going to offer my expertise to somebody when it makes me look good, right? Have you ever heard that you've been to a party who said, I'm looking for an advice. Oh, I have a guy, I have a girl, right? That's what you want to become. You want to become that guy or girl, right? So referrals are given when they're earned. The journey matters. As Nitish talked, and Jack's going to share with you, there are perfect times to ask for referrals because clients are going to be willing to when it makes them look good. So the question is, how do you become that guy or girl? When they're at a cocktail party and they say, I'm looking to buy a house. Oh, I have a girl, right? You need to talk to that person. People give referrals when it makes them look good, not when it makes you look good, when it makes them look good. And that's why when you ask, and the journey matters as part of that process. So
it's funny. It's funny you say that that's my guy or girl. I had a vendor and he did a fantastic job on a promotional product. And we had, just one really great order. And of course, a couple more people needed, the same thing. So I referred his name. He goes, I'm your guy. You made me your guy. And he was just so flattered but he used that exact terminology. Yeah, I'm your guy. That's awesome.
With Cindy, it's funny. You go to a cocktail party and sometimes they're talking about, I need financial advice, or I have a guy, I have a girl, right? So our goal is to become that guy or girl, right? And many of us don't do that because we don't know how to position ourselves through the transaction to do that, right? We think I send a calendar out or send a marketing piece afterwards, that's going to make me the guy or girl. It isn't, right? So we want to take that next step to elevate your business and start getting the referrals that you deserve and showing you how to earn those referrals for the process. So why don't people get referrals? Why not?
Well, they don't ask at all sometimes.
Correct.
Just sending out marketing material is not asking for business. It's not asking, hey, I did a good job. You would work with me again in the future, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you like your friends to work with me too? And you're not saying that explicitly when you ask, but that is what you're saying. But marketing material is not saying that, right? So it's not asking at all. And it's not asking often enough. You want to do it, as Nitesh said, multiple times throughout the process. And they're not asking at the right times. So even if you are asking, and maybe you're asking on every deal, you might be asking at the end of the deal. And that's when the buyers are happiest. So you would think, given what Nitesh said about happiness, rising and falling throughout the home buying process, that would be the best time to ask because they're the happiest. But it's also when they're most likely to just move on with their lives and forget about you if you haven't been asking throughout the process. So the earlier you ask in the process, the more times you have to go back to them and you have more opportunities to impress them. First ask, impress them more, ask again, impress them more, ask again. And then your final ask is going to be around closing, but not even necessarily. You're going to be following up with your clients, months after closing as well, and not just by sending them a holiday card. So main reason we're not getting enough referrals is we're not asking, and then second reason is we're not asking often enough. So Brett, let's see.
It's really important here, Cindy, right? The adage is if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So sometimes Jack's going to share with you the reasons why we don't do that. But the three basics are you simply don't ask because you're afraid to. You don't ask often enough because, once again, I don't want to be pushy. And the third thing is they don't ask at the right times. And there's a psychological component of that, of when to ask and why you want to ask at these certain times that Natisha shared with you. So those three are the biggest failure points. And we're going to kind of help you understand why these things happen. So the first one is Jack shared with you, you don't ask.
Mm-hmm. And reasons why you might not ask is you don't want to come off as pushy, especially in the middle of a transaction. You don't want to jeopardize it, but that's really unlikely to happen if you're asking at the right time. And if you're not asking, you're not going to get what you want. So one reason you could be hesitant to ask because you're not confident in your product or your customer service, but you should be, and that's step one is you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You think you deserve referrals. So obviously you think you would do a good job for, friends and, coworkers of your clients, et cetera. But maybe if you come off as too pushy, then they won't want to send someone to you. But if you're doing it at the right time, you won't. You'll come off as an expert. You'll come off as competent and, sincere, and, people will want to do business and have their friends and family do business with people like that.
Go ahead, Cindy. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just ask, is there like a verbal cue that, is there a verbal cue that people can look for, or something that they can know, hey, this is the right time?
There is, Cindy. We're going to go there over there in the next slide. That's a great question, right? When to ask, and Natisha talked about. We're going to talk about happy times to ask, when your peak opportunity to ask is, and I'm going to kind of go through some strokes on suggestions on how to ask that. The biggest issue that you have is most people just don't ask, and they ask for don't ask for two reasons. One, they're a little concerned about their service delivery, right? What if something goes sideways? What if the appraisal comes under? Or what if my bar doesn't get approved? I'm afraid to ask because I'm concerned about my service delivery, the transaction that I have, and I don't want to put that at risk. Well, the reality is if you ask at the right time, right, that's not going to be an issue. And I'm going to give you some guidance on how to ask during these times so you don't appear to be pushy. So the first thing we need to do is we got to get comfortable in asking, right? Sending something after the transaction's done, asking for referrals is not the right time to do that. We're going to help you understand why. But that's a great question. So let's talk about asking often, how you want to do that. So let's talk about that.
So like I mentioned earlier, you're going to want to be doing it multiple times throughout the process. As Brett said, asking once, especially at the end of the process, is probably the worst way to go about it. You, as a person, your marketing material and your face might be on their fridge, but you as an actual human being are out of sight and out of mind at that point. And
this is important, as Jack had shared with you. If you look at it, right, they're the same reasons, right? I don't ask because I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be desperate. I'm not confident in my service delivery, and I don't want to put my current deal in jeopardy. Well, that's the same reason you don't ask often enough, right? The reasons are exactly the same. So how do we power through those reasons and start to earn the referrals that we should get? We call this the bird in the hand versus two in the bush paralysis, right? I've got a deal right here. I don't want to ask about any other deals because it's going to put this deal at risk, right? The reality is if you're providing service excellence, which we know you do, right? And I believe personally, not because I'm cocky and egotistical, but who's better to provide this service to my clients than me? Right? So if I'm not asking for the friends and family, I'm doing them a disservice because they should be entitled to the service delivery I give, right? So I should be confident in that process. So I don't want to put this deal at risk is one of the reasons we don't ask, but we're going to talk about how you do that during the happy times. Oh, and that leads us to timing matters. Right, so everybody understands the importance of referrals, right? The problem is many of us don't know when or how to ask. As Natish said, we want to ask during happy times, right? And this is very important, and we're going to talk about timing. So first, when the contract is accepted, it doesn't matter whether I am a listing agent or the selling agent, right? So if I'm the selling agent, my buyer put out 27 offers and they finally got one, what are they? They're happy, right? My seller is happy when they got a contract because they're close to selling the house. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, Cindy, give me all your friends, right? That's not how I'm going to ask for the referrals. But, you know what? Congratulations on getting your sales contract accepted. I know it's been a hard journey for us. And, you know, today's market's a little brisk and some people may have some uncertainty. So, you know, if you have a friend or family member that's looking for real estate and they need some guidance, you know, feel free to give them my name and number. Now, did I just ask for a referral? Yes. Was I pushy? No, right? They're happy. Oh, wow, I did get one. Hey, the market's really tough, and sometimes friends might need just a little bit of guidance. I'm here for them. I've just asked for a referral in a non-threatening way, right? Now, when the buyer's loan's approved, same thing, right? Everybody's happy. Your buyer's happy. They're one step closer to closing, right? Woo! My loan's approved. My seller's happy because why? They're one step closer to selling the property. Same thing. Congratulations on getting your loan approved, or congratulations, your clients that are buying your house just got their loan approved. You know, in today's markets, you know, selling today can be a little bit, complicated because it is brisk, but there's so many variables that go into place. You know, if you know of anybody that's looking for real estate advice, you know, I'm always available to answer their questions. You know, please feel free to give them my name and number. Did I just ask for a referral? Yes. Was I pushy? No. Now, one of the things we talk about, Cindy, and I hope to do other clients, scripts are our friends, right? So I need to practice those things. What am I going to say so I don't come across as awkward, right? I know I'm going to ask for referrals. I should ask referrals in each time. What's my script, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter whether I said it 37 times to 37 different clients. It doesn't matter because when I said it to that client, it's the first time they heard it. Loans approved. Congratulations. You're one step closer to realizing your dream of home ownership. You know, the market's a little tough right now, and I'm happy to provide any advice to your friends and family. You know, feel free to give out my name and number, right? And it's important to do this when we talk about the last part of that. Now, when the closing is complete, now this is something that's really important. Most of us send something after the deal is done. Don't stop doing that. However, the most important time to do it is when the buyer gets the keys and the seller gets the check, right? When are they most happy? When I get my keys. Congratulations on becoming a homeowner. I'm very, very excited for you. If you have some friends and family that are looking to buy real estate, please give them my name and number, right? Because they're happy right now. Seller, same thing. When they get the check, ask them. Script it so you know how to be comfortable in asking, but congratulations on selling your home. I'm very excited for you. The market's kind of changing. There might be some challenges coming up. If you have friends and family that are looking for information about real estate, I'm here for them, right? Take that script, make it your own, but it's very important that you do these 3 times. And here's why it's really important. There's a psychological factor called the reticular activating system. Now, what the reticular activating system is, everybody can look it up, is that people are aware of things that are happening when they're going through it in their lifestyle. For example, when my wife became pregnant for the first time, I looked around and I saw everybody in the world was getting busy because there was like a gazillion pregnant people, right? Now, were there any more pregnant people than before because my wife and I decided to have children? No. The reticular activating system kicked in and I started to notice that people were pregnant because we were going through it. If you ever thought of when you buy a new car, right? And people that are watching this can think about it, right? My mom, she bought a white SUV. All of a sudden, she was a trendsetter because everybody in her community bought a white car. I set the trend about a white car. Did you realize how many people bought white cars after me? Well, no, Mom, they didn't. You just noticed that they're white cars because that's the reticular activating system. Now, why is that important for us in timing? People are aware of other people buying a home when they're going through the process. That diminishes greatly when they're done. So when we're only asking for referrals when it's finished, the reticular activating system wanes and they're not going to be as cognizant of, verbal or visual clues of people that are in the home buying process unless they're going through it. So that's why timing matters. The reticular activating system is active and it's very active while you're going through the process, which is why you want to ask during the process. Here's the other thing, folks. In the sales piece, don't judge, be bold, just ask. What's the worst thing anybody can say to you? No. No doesn't hurt, right? So we want to ask during the process. We want to ask often during the process at the happy times. It's really important. Timing matters. During the process, when they're happy is my greater likelihood for referrals. I just don't ask enough during the process. So let's refresh. Ask during the process, ask often, and timing matters. It's really important to do that. Okay.
And
now,
Brett, we talked about something, earlier. You mentioned it, and Jack mentioned it regarding confidence, and what you said about the reticular activating system paired with that confidence, because you have to understand you are the industry professional, right? If you are representing a buyer, representing a seller, you are the professional. You have to be confident in your craft. And if you realize that and understand that, it'll make the rest of the process easier. In the market that we're in, you have likely put an offer in on a property 8 to 10 times before, actually getting a ratified contract. You have been through the process with that buyer. And sellers, agents as well, this is a tricky market to be in. You have to guide the sellers to get the best deal they can. You're doing everything you need to be doing. You're supporting that individual that you're working with. So knowing your craft only means that you need to be asking for referrals to continue that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Tish, I'm with you 100%, right? We have to be so confident in our service delivery. There's no better person to provide that service than me, right? So if I don't ask for referrals, I'm doing my clients a disservice, right? They should be working with me, right? So why would I cheat them out of that opportunity because I'm simply afraid to ask, right? Okay, that's, that's my mindset, right? Who else is better to provide the service than me? That's the way I should approach it. So this leads us to the next one. We've talked about this, and a lot of times when you attend our training, there are some basic tenets that we have in our enterprise. And one of them is every prospect is a deal for somebody at some point. The question is for who or when. This is a reality. Everybody we meet at some point, sometime is either going to buy or sell a house in their lifetime, right? Most the population, that's the case. Well, why am I not taking the steps to make sure that prospect is a deal for me, right? And that's part of the process. So That's what we just talked about, right? How do I make everybody do that? Now we're going to kick it up a notch, Cindy. We're going to talk about an emerald thing right here. We're going to talk about creating what we call the power sphere. And how do I get referrals from other people outside the business, right? I invest in money. I buy leads. That's wonderful. But now we're going to talk about the power sphere. Let's think about who else can give me business that I really don't think about, right? So where else can I get business? How else can I get referrals? Can an estate attorney send me business? Can a divorce attorney send me business? Can an insurance agent send me business? Absolutely. You know why they don't? Because we don't know how to ask them. So we're going to talk about a concept we created called the power sphere. Who is in your network of professionals to assist your business? Who are your go-tos? Now, this is really important. Now, if you asked me, Brett, you sold me a house a year ago, and now my father passed away, and we need to sell their house. Do you know an estate attorney? Yes, I do. It's Counselor Baradal. You want to talk to Matt Jones. Let me give you his name and number. Now, why do I want to do that? I want to be the person my client comes to for help, because if they go find an estate attorney on their own, guess what that estate attorney may have? Their guy or girl that's a realtor, right? So if they call Counsel Baradal, they talk to Matt, Matt's going to refer them to me. But if it's some other person I don't know, Matt say, hey, you need to talk to my girl here at Long and Foster. Here she is. Now, why is an estate attorney important, right? Somebody passes away, right? They normally have to sell the property, right? Now, I do a lot of work with seniors. I work with a lot of financial planners. So I hate to tell people this, that the kids who I refer to affectionately as GLBs, greedy little bastards, they don't want the house. They want to sell the house, right? Parents think, oh, they grew up in this house and we want to keep the house, right? Because that's what we think. The reality is the kids don't want the house. They want the money. So the estate attorney is going to work with them selling the house to keep the GLBs a little happy, right? That's a reality of the senior market. So an estate attorney might be a great referral source for me. Now, I can't call the estate attorney and say, hey, Cindy, I'm a realtor. Can I have all your clients? It doesn't work that way. However, it does work if I'm saying, you know what, I'm working with this client and they need an estate attorney. I call the estate attorney that they're working with and I introduce myself. You know what? I'm working with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and their parents are selling the house, and I noticed that you're the estate attorney on this process. By the way, Cindy, whoever I'm talking to, I'm an expert in that business. I specialize in helping families in crisis and working with them and helping the family through these troubled times. I'm looking for an estate attorney that I can work with because this is what I specialize in. Do you have a few minutes to talk a little bit about your business and how we can work together? I just opened the door because an estate attorney is not going to sit there and say, no, I don't want to talk to you about how I can get more business, right? They're going to talk to you about, and that's an important component of it because we're going to talk about the law of reciprocity. Divorce attorneys. I love divorce. It usually means 2 transactions, maybe 3. Well, I really don't like divorce, but it's great for business, right? Because they've got to sell the marital home, and then usually the husband and wife are going to buy separate homes, right? But it's the same thing. I can't call the divorce attorney and say, hey, give me your clients, right? But anytime I work with somebody that's going through divorce, right? If they say they have that, then my next question as a loan officer, and should be as a realtor, you know what? It's really important. Do you have the name and number of your divorce attorney? Well, why do you need that, Mr. Carter? Well, as we go through the process, I might need information regarding this. Even as a real estate professional, you might need to, because maybe there's a claim to the property that the ex-wife has that we didn't clear it up in the selling process. So I asked the question, who was your divorce attorney? And then I call the divorce attorney and I go, hey, I'm working the Smiths. Once again, I help families in crisis. And, this is a big part of my business. And I'm always looking for divorce attorneys that I can refer business to. Do you have a few minutes so I can learn more about your business? What are they going to say? They're going to say yes. Now, for those of us attending this seminar, if you don't have a go-to for all of these, right, you're missing opportunity. One, you can have leakage because if your client goes to these people, they're going to have their go-to. So you want to be their go-to, but you want to have your clients come to you for all these issues. Insurance agents are great, right? Now, if you're in the first-time home buyer market for our new agents, right? I can't get people to attend my first-time home buyer market. Well, why not? Well, there's too much noise. There's too many. Well, you know what insurance agents have? Property casualty insurance agents have, Cindy? They have renters policies. They make more money off a homeowner's policy than they do a renter's policy. So maybe I do a client appreciation event for those renters in my insurance agent's book, and I invite them to a first-time homebuyers event where we're going to give them a free appraisal, or we're going to give them a credit towards their closing costs as a client appreciation. Guess what? Now I have attending my first-time homebuyer event. Clients, right? And the agent's going to like to do that because they're going to make more money if it goes from a renter's policy to a homeowner's policy. Maybe if I have an accountant, do you have an accountant? Hey, do you have clients that don't own a home yet? Let's do a shared client appreciation where we're going to invite them so they can become a homeowner. And you know what? I've added value to that client base. So what you want to do is you want to start building your go-tos in your power sphere. Anytime a client asks you for guidance, you want to have a partner that you can refer them to. If you were to ask me of any one of these, I would tell you exactly who you need to talk to because I don't want them to go outside my power sphere. So this is how I can get referrals from other business partners by conducting my business in an effective way. And then that breaks in the law of reciprocity. And law of reciprocity is simply this. If I give you something of value, you feel compelled to do what? Give me something of value. So if I'm giving you referrals, you're going to feel compelled to give me referrals. So this goes back to the Power of 3 challenge, our 30-day challenge, Cindy. We're going to reinforce this all the time we talk because we want people to do this. Make a commitment for 30 days to change your business. Let's create that habit. So as a reminder, Power of 3, every day for the next 30 days. For those of us that haven't started, today is a great day to start. Contact past 3 clients every day. Right? Contact 3 past prospects every day. Ask for referrals 3 times on every transaction. Contract written, bond approved at closing. Don't judge, be bold, just ask. At the end of 30 days, you're going to accelerate your business. Are you ready for the challenge? For those of us that didn't take it, start today and it will change your business. Remember, I've got a business plan. Success plan is pretty simple. Success is the sum of small efforts. I don't have to have this grandiose plan. Small efforts repeated day in and day out, right? That's true. If I do these things each and every day, and if I don't get off of that, if I do them each and every day, at the end of 30 days, I will have a success. Success planning is daily action. Business planning is your comprehensive plan. Success planning is what am I doing each and every day to ensure there's success? Start by asking referrals on every single transaction. Don't be afraid. Don't judge. Just ask. Change your business, Cindy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a golden gem there to increase your sphere of influence and with those connections. I definitely love that. So perfect thing to add into our challenge. And I think I'm going to add that just to my prospecting notes as well. Matish,
it's really important, Cindy, on that power sphere, right? That's an untapped source of business, right? And it can be an offensive strategy because I get referrals, but it's also a defensive strategy, right? If people are left in their own devices to find these things, a really good estate attorney who I deal with, he has a go-to, it's me, right? He has a go-to of agents that I introduce him to. So if a client finds him on their own, they're not coming to you, whether you sold them a house or not. So you want to be the person that can refer them to somebody, financial planner, tax accountant, right? I got one of my best builder accounts because I work with a tax attorney. He had a tax problem. I referred him to the tax attorney. He's been eternally grateful and he sends us all our business, right? Mm-hmm. I earned that business because we had done a transaction for him. He had a tax problem. He called me and I could refer him to the tax attorney, right? All of a sudden he was internally grateful because we solved a problem for him. But if he found that on his own, maybe he's grateful to somebody else. So build that power sphere, right? You want to drive that process. Don't let somebody else drive it for you.
That's fantastic. I love that. Gentlemen, do you have anything to add or shall we cover that?
I was just going to add one thing to that. I mean, the power sphere, we need to realize that when one of your clients is going through one of those times, whether it's a divorce or, loss in the family, we're usually requiring documentation, as a lender. Mm-hmm. And as an agent, you can prepare the buyer up front, buyer or seller up front. And you can say, hey, look, can we get on a call with your divorce attorney or with your financial planner? And it's a great way to introduce yourself along with the buyer, give them a heads up that, hey, they're going through this process. They're going to be documentation requested. I'd be happy to go over the process with you a little bit further and get on a call at a later point just to discuss. So you have a very warm transfer and an easy way to get on the phone and start that conversation and then turn it into a referral source.
And it elevates your role in the process, Cindy, right? If I reach out to you, so you know what, Cindy, when families are going through this crisis, a lot of times things can happen at the end of the process, and we want to try to identify any possible pitfalls we have so this transaction goes smooth. In order to do that, we're going to be able to communicate so I understand where you are, in the property settlement, those types of things. Do you mind if I talk to your divorce attorney, right? So I've elevated myself in the process because I'm identifying, we don't want this to happen in settlement, right? Who gets what, because that's what happens, right? Things get held up because the husband doesn't want to sign or the wife doesn't want to sign. I want to avoid those things through the process. And how do I do that? By having active dialogue with the divorce attorney in the process. Same thing with an estate, right? Am I talking to the estate attorney? What are the kids dealing with? Who gets what? I don't want that to happen right before settlement. I want that to happen early. So in addition to creating that power sphere, I'm also elevating my role in the process because a lot of other agents won't think to ask for those things. We've seen these things create challenges at the end. Let's get ahead of these things. Let me talk to your divorce attorney so I make sure that these things are going smooth. Let me talk to the estate attorney. Bankruptcy is another one, right? Somebody going through bankruptcy, a lot of times bankruptcy forces people to sell their property, right? I want to have a bankruptcy attorney that's I can refer to that can also refer me business. So bankruptcy attorney in power sphere, accountant, financial advisor, insurance agents, right? All of these things should be in my power sphere because then the law of reciprocity comes into play. Law of reciprocity is a very powerful tool.
Absolutely. I mean, here we've got two gold gems. Like we got that reaching out to the rental insurance, your insurance agent
Correct.
to get the renters, for prospecting and build that list. But you've also got listing generation by divorce attorneys, estate planning. They know which houses are coming on the market that there's not necessarily a person you can reach out to. So I think that is such a powerful gem. And I just wanted to restate that so that everyone's picking up and going, wow, I'm leaving with a valuable marketing tool and I can increase my business. And it was definitely worth my cup of coffee, my cup of tea today.
There you go.
You got coffee and a power sphere. It's all good.
I wanted to add something real quick that I don't think has been mentioned, but people really like the feeling of helping people, and people are more likely to help people they've already helped. So once you get that first referral, that is a great time to thank them and ask them for another referral. They're feeling good about helping you, and they want to help you more. Absolutely. I can't remember where I read that, but somewhere.
No, that's very true, Jack.
Awesome stuff. All right, gentlemen, cheers to a productive week, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Cindy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for FDM Brews. Our team is here to answer your questions. Just call 239-359-6590 or email us at dfry@fdmhome.com.